A very good morning. Welcome to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026. We'll take calls at 888-658-0234. To kick things off, we have Mr. Meteorologist himself, Mike Favetta, with the forecast near you. Good morning, sir.
Mister, that's a tough title to live up to, Ken. Good morning. I better bring it today. Gotta bring it. Gotta bring the good weather. Well, we've got a little bit of a cool start ahead. Good morning to you, Ken. Sunny skies all across the Northeast, and we'll stay dry today with that very pleasant weather around. A lot of these clouds from last night kind of sunk down to our south. It's that northerly breeze that persists for most of this week as this stubborn omega block continues, and that just brings in the cool air over the next few days, keeping some clouds around each afternoon. And also, again, today, bringing those temperatures down well below average. Highs today only making it into the mid-70s, but it's the humidity that's so low that actually makes it feel a little bit cooler. Tomorrow, yet again, going to be another cool afternoon. So with the futurecast showing the clouds around for this afternoon, they develop across the skies over New Jersey today. Maybe bring back a quick passing sprinkle. All of these float on by this evening. And then the high pressure builds in for tomorrow, delivering another round of afternoon clouds. But again, highs bump up a little bit more into the upper 70s. So we're kind of gaining a few degrees each day. And with that, as the wind shifts into Thursday, start to see some humidity build back in. That in turn brings back some milder weather. So for today, anticipate mostly sunny skies, a cool start, but a warm afternoon. We'll tell you all about it coming up with your 7-day forecast, Ken, in a few minutes.
I'm sure you will, sir. Thank you very much for counting on that. It is 51 degrees right now, northern New Jersey, 46 in Trenton, a little chilly willy. To the west coast, we have 54 degrees in Los Angeles, 56 in San Diego. And we take a look at what's going on in terms of traffic. We look at 295, a crash on 295 north of exit 52, Columbus Road, Mansfield Township. The right shoulder is currently closed. Over to the Garden State Parkway, two different issues, two different areas about 15 miles apart. The first is Garden State Parkway has a crash northbound exiting at exit 127, Route 440 Woodbridge with a lane block there. Also on the Garden State, there's a crash southbound north of exit 144, Route 510 in Newark with the right lane block. There you go. There's one of the crashes right there. You see, that's the 127 crash located in Woodbridge. Again, that's northbound exiting at exit 127. As you can see right there, I guess somebody thought, oh, that's exit. And you know that moment, you panic and you think, oh, I'll get across 5 lanes of traffic in morning rush. And then you end up getting into an accident, unfortunately. We don't know if that's what happened, but nonetheless, that often happens to folks. So we hope that everybody's okay. That's the most important thing. Other incidents, we have a utility pull down Route 47 impacting traffic both directions at Cattell Road in Deptford Township. All lanes closed northbound, right shoulder closed south. And on 295, another issue. We had one at the top of the report. This is a separate issue. Exit 34, there's a crash. Route 70, Cherry Hill, right shoulder closed there. Hudson River Crossings, the Lincoln Tunnel's 25 minutes in. Holland is 30 already, and the GWB, upper and lower levels, we got our cameras back. That makes us very happy when that happens. Let's take a look, if we shall. The upper levels on the right, lower on the left. Clearly, the lower level is the better, the upper level, I should say, is the better bet. It's going to save you about 5 minutes rather. The upper level will on the right. Lower level is going to be about 30-40 into Manhattan right now. Don't know why there's such a delay there. Over to Los Angeles, a couple of things to tell you about. Traffic collision now in central LA. It's at the Route 2 and York Boulevard off-ramp. There's also a traffic collision in South LA. That's at Firestone Boulevard and Zamora Avenue. And another one in South LA at the 405 and Vermont Avenue off-ramp. Let's ask when Mike comes back, if there's any incident of weather or fire, because the report talks about visibility and things like that. So I'm wondering if there's fire and smoke anywhere in LA in the area. We'll ask Mike about that. It is 4 minutes past the hour. Samsung is one of New Jersey's most important corporations. It's here over 40 years, but it's now leaving thanks to high taxes and an unfriendly corporate environment established by the Democrats who control the state. I mean, let's just face it. Democrats control every aspect of local, state, and federal politics in regards to New Jersey. Every inch, including the top 15 largest cities. Samsung currently employs 1,200 people. They pay hundreds of millions in taxes. Just 8 months ago, the tech giant spent tens of millions building a new Garden State corporate hub. New Jersey's most liberal and most famous politician showed up for the big ribbon cutting, including Mikey Sherrill. She wasn't governor yet then. That's why I'm just saying Mikey Sherrill without the title. Senator Andy Kim was there, Congressman Josh Gottheimer, all proud to be there for the ribbon cutting. But once Mikey Sherrill was sworn in as governor and she and state Democrat lawmakers passed and signed the new budget in March, which significantly hiked corporate taxes and closed a whole bunch of tax loopholes, well, Samsung decided, bye-bye. They're following Exxon, dozens of other major and mid-sized corporations, and 500,000 residents, and leaving, moving to lower or no tax states to the south. Folks, elections have consequences. The great Barack Obama, President Obama, said that years ago, and he was right. 6 minutes past the hour, dozens of arrests have been made outside of Newark's Delaney Hall as hired agitators posing as protesters continue to clash with federal, state, and local law enforcement. A curfew was put into place. Many refused to obey it, so New Jersey State Police, backed by officers in riot gear, moved in to enforce the order. Now, the funny thing is, Governor Sherrill declared this a sanctuary state, saying the state is open to anyone who wants to come, except for the protesters. The protesters, she said, have to leave. So let me get this straight, Governor. This group of people who are not from our state and they're not citizens of the state, you're saying they got to leave. But other people who aren't citizens of the country, they could stay. Which is it? Well, demonstrators have gathered outside the ICE detention center for 2 weeks, claiming detainees are being held in inhumane living conditions there. And if that's the case, that's unacceptable. I'm with you 100%. The demonstrations began after several illegal migrants inside Delaney Hall reportedly launched a hunger strike. Initially, though, they said there were unsanitary conditions, inadequate medical care, and poor food quality. But later, an investigation showed no, there's a doctor there for anyone who's sick. There's a dentist, in fact, that most prisons don't even have. There's plenty of food. In fact, depending on your diet restrictions, they have food for everybody's diet, whether you are Islamic or you follow a kosher diet, they have it and they offer it. It's just that the specific diet from the specific country was not available, and that's what they called unacceptable food. But that got translated as rotten food. It's rotten by your opinion. Otherwise, that's what we have here in America. Delaney, by the way, is a prison after all. It was used for years by the Obama administration. Zero complaints from anybody when it was under President Obama's authority, suggesting the protests appear to be just a little bit politically motivated. A Utah judge ruled that a key hearing in the Charlie Kirk murder case will remain public. Defendant Tyler Robinson sought to restrict media and public access. The July hearing will determine whether prosecutors have enough evidence for trial. The 23-year-old Robinson is charged with the September 2025 murder of Charlie Kirk. Prosecutors plan to present DNA evidence, surveillance video, witness statements, and alleged admissions. If convicted, Robinson could face the death penalty. Former Colorado Clerk Tina Peters, a Republican, was released after her sentence was commuted by a Democrat governor. She had been convicted for breaching election system security after the 2020 election. Now, Colorado Governor Jared Polis shortened her 9-year sentence last month. Again, Democratic governor and a Republican former clerk who was convicted. Peters served less than a quarter of her original prison term. Following her release, she repeated unproven claims about election fraud regarding the voting machines. Again, claims that she has no evidence about. Colorado Democrats criticized the commutation. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth removed at least 7 Navy officers from a promotion list. Some current and former officials are saying the actions may conflict with promotion system rules, though that's what Hegseth's whole point was. He said that promotion rules that were just created in the last few years were not based on merit, but were often based on anything but. Pentagon leaders have recently only removed candidates for serious conduct concerns, like sassing back at a senior officer. Hegseth has pointed out that many senior officers were grossly out of shape, many of them 100 pounds or more overweight, and that America's fighting force cannot successfully function in that manner. The Pentagon says promotions are now being based solely on qualifications and merit. Anthropic, creator of the Claude chatbot, confidentially filed for an initial public offering. The move puts Anthropic ahead of rival OpenAI in the public markets race. Analysts say that major AI companies could revive the sluggish IPO market. A confidential filing allows regulatory feedback before you go public and make disclosures. Anthropic says that any IPO depends on market conditions and SEC reviews. The company was founded 2021 by CEO Dario Amodei and former OpenAI employees. Well, doctors are warning of a ridiculous and dangerous TikTok-driven challenge that is landing teens in the ER. The teens overdosed on Benadryl. So far, at least 5 teens were treated for Benadryl overdoses at Rady Children's Hospital in San Diego in the last 2 weeks. The 5 range in age from 16 to their early 20s. Now, this is a revival of a similar stunt from 2023 in which one young man did die. So apparently it made its way back onto TikTok, and these 5 people ended up in the hospital. Luckily, these did not die. But please talk to your kids, or if you have a friend who is thinking about doing this, you can die by ODing on Benadryl. You should take the recommended dose and the recommended dose only, and talk to your doctor if you should even take it at all. The challenge involves taking large amounts of the drug diphenhydramine, which is the key ingredient in Benadryl, to the point that you have hallucinations. And that could kill you because it could stop your heart and stop your breathing. A United Airlines flight from Newark to Spain turned around on Saturday after a possible security concern. It seems a suspicious Bluetooth device name triggered concern. A 16-year-old on board the flight thought it was cute to wear a Fitbit that they could name, we don't know if it's a male or female, that they could name Bomb, B-O-M-B. Of course, you can never even think of a word like bomb when you're at an airport or on a plane. So out of an abundance of caution, the plane returned to Newark a few hours after it took off. It was going overseas, so it was mid-Atlantic at that time. The passengers had to be rescreened. They had to get off the plane, go back on. The plane actually was searched. A replacement flight took off Sunday morning. Everybody eventually arrived safely in Spain, but it is not funny to talk about bombs when you're at the airport or on a plane. You can be arrested. Now, former CIA agent is in lockup charged with carrying out a massive theft, although it is the spy agency itself facing some tough questions from lawmakers about how the agent was ever allowed to get as far as he did. The CIA should have known something went wrong or was wrong when ex-officer David Rush asked for 667 pounds of gold bullion. Normally, agents request gems. They exchange it with spies in other countries. They say, look, I'll put aside this money for you, whatever. That's how they do their dirty deed, if you will, with other spies. But you normally do it with like little diamonds. Here's a diamond worth $100,000. Instead, he asked for gold bars. Turns out Rush, allegedly, took the 40 million in gold bars, hid them inside his house. Doesn't sound smart, right? Officials say he also stashed $50,000 Rolex watches that were given to him to use in his spy activities. The Senate Intelligence Committee is now launching aggressive oversight into the CIA's lax vetting of its agents. And Jersey City is looking for a youth poet laureate. You're a poet and you don't know it. The Jersey City Free Public Library is launching the search with Urban Word NYC. If you know somebody who's between 13 and 18 who uses storytelling to inspire others and lives in Jersey City, suggest that they apply. 14 minutes past the hour when we return. Today's primary day in New Jersey and in California, two of the states that we cover primarily. We will speak about the races with a professor in the Department of Political Science and Law at Montclair State University. You're watching Mornings. We're back in 2 minutes. Don't go away.
Welcome back. It's Tuesday. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings with Ken Rosato. I'm Mike Favetta. We have plenty of clear sky on the way for today. So much sunshine that'll get us going early on. It's also going to bring back a healthy dose of pollen throughout this afternoon. You've seen the haze of green on the car tops, on the windows, and it just keeps on coming. As now the peak of tree allergy season is over, but now that we enter grasses and weeds season, we'll start to see those pollens continue to proliferate right through the rest of the month. As far as the rainfall to kind of rinse that pollen out of the atmosphere, we really don't get much beyond a quick little sprinkle this afternoon, but the real heavier showers come in later on Sunday night into Monday. You can see most of this rain getting going, lasting through the overnight hours into Monday morning, starting off next week on a wetter and much cooler note. So enjoy the warm up as it progressively gets warmer each and every day. You can see big high pressure settling in with a northerly breeze, keeping us dry and a little bit cooler than average with that lower humidity. Out west and down south, that's where you'll find some of the rain, especially across the middle of the country. But the west coast stays pretty dry. And even though with the next few days featuring the cooler weather, I think we'll stay, well, seasonably cool over the next few days, even with these cooler than average temperatures continuing across most of the Northeast, whereas the middle of the country stays quite warm, Ken.
All right, sir. Look at that. What is that? The Omega? What do you call
The
that thing?
big omega block. Yeah, it's just the jet stream forms this big omega pattern in the atmosphere.
Nothing like an Omega. That's a watch, isn't it? Something like that. Okay. All right.
It
We
is.
appreciate you, sir. Thank you very much. We'll check back. It is 53 degrees northern New Jersey, 50 in Trenton, and it is 54 right now, Los Angeles, for our West Coast audience. We check out traffic, just a couple of incidents. Garden State Parkway, we have a crash. It is northbound exiting exit 127 Woodbridge with a lane blocked. Also, and you have it right there. Look at that mess. Also, we have a southbound incident north of exit 144, another crash, Route 510 in Newark, right lane blocked. Hudson River crossings, Lincoln and Holland, 25 to 30 in GWB, very heavy, especially on the lower level. But we'll take a look at the GWB crossing right here. Upper, it's on the right, lower on the left. Either way, now it's going to be about 35 to 40. West Coast just have one incident, and that is a crash located on Route 2 at York Boulevard off ramp. It is 719 East Coast, 419 West, and it is primary day both in New Jersey and in California, though we're focusing on New Jersey right now. Voters throughout the state are heading to the polls to help decide who will appear on the ballot this November. And we say good morning to former Democratic. Oh, we got the wrong person. No, no, no. Introducing the wrong person here. Don't want to scare them. Let's see. Make sure I got the right one up. Forgive me. We have our good friend, Dr. Fanny Lobby. Forgive me, a person we've had on before. Dr. Lobby, we're having computer issues on my end. So that is, you're probably thinking, I'm not a former elected official. What is he talking about? But it's good to have you on for primary day. We've had you on before, and I know you always have great insight. You are the professor in the Department of Political Science and Law at Montclair State University. Good morning to you first, Doctor. Good to have you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's wonderful to have you here. So let's talk about today in the primary elections. There's a lot at stake here, obviously, and there are a lot of some very important congressional races. Obviously, everybody in the House is up right now for reelection this year. Are there specific races that people really should be keeping an eye on in the state of New Jersey this time?
Well, I think first of all, everybody should be going out to their own district and voting in the primary, right? We know that primary turnout is usually really low, so we really like to encourage everybody to come out and vote. But I think the two that political commentators and political junkies like myself are watching is the 12th district and the 7th district, right? The 7th district, the Democrats are trying to unseat Tom Kean Jr. So the question is really, who are Democratic voters going to select in that race to try to take on an incumbent, a Republican incumbent? And then in the 12th district, that's Bonnie Watson Coleman's seat, that's a pretty solid Democratic congressional district. And so here, how are Democrats going to feel in that particular primary? Are they going to pick someone who's a moderate, or are they going to pick someone who's a more progressive Democrat? And so we're going to try to see, when given a greater latitude, who do Democrats think they can select to run in the general election?
So, Doctor, in the case of Tom Kean Jr., you have somebody who has literally been AWOL since March. And we've heard from various people rumors, nobody knows because he hasn't spoken directly, um, rumors that he's coming back in a few weeks. We keep hearing he's coming back in a few weeks. It's been almost 3 months. At some point, voters, it looks like, may be giving up. And this was a district that he won, not by a lot, but he won that district 2 years ago by a few points. And now it looks like it is, as you mentioned, really up for grabs. And at what point does somebody in a party have to say, "Excuse me, Congressman, you need to either do your job or step aside"?
Right. Well, I think Tom Kean Jr. already tested some of what a congressperson could do in an election. If you remember, in the last election, he had very few interaction with the media, which was unusual for a sitting congressperson. So he's already kind of tested those limits. Now, no one really knows what is going on, and no one really knows what's keeping him away from the public. And so that's really going to test the Republicans in his district. I think the Democrats are definitely seeing the district as a chance to pick up a seat. That's because of how the district was drawn, right? We know it was always going to be a more competitive district than, let's say, the 11th or the 12th. But I think the behavior of the congressperson is definitely helping them make their case that those independents in the districts and those moderates in the district might want to have someone who, in this case, is more present, offers more transparency, and is communicating and doing this job of really educating the public and communicating with the public. So I think that really is about, how is the Republican base in the district going to respond to his behavior? Are they going to give him some of the latitude that they have so far? Or is there going to be a greater demand as we enter the general election cycle? Is there going to be a greater demand and greater pressure on the congressperson to either appear in public and explain himself, or maybe drop out of the race?
Yeah, I think you're being very professional, as you are a doctor, a professor. I would say this: if I were in that district and my person did not show up and wouldn't give me the courtesy of an explanation, I would never vote for that person again. But that's just me. That, to me, that's just patently offensive. You have but one representative to Congress in that district, and if you have a problem, we understand. Either be forthright about it or step aside. But this job has to be done. It's too important for both sides, both political parties. And I think the Democrats have a very strong argument here, and the Republicans have no defense at this point. Why should people at this point even bother with midterms? You have so many people who say, if it's not a presidential election, I'm not coming out. But it really does matter whom you elect to represent you, doesn't it?
It really does, right? The Congress was set up to be the most important branch of government. That's the one that the founders trusted the most, and they gave it a lot of powers, and particularly the powers to check the other branches. And they're also the ones that have the most frequent election. If you look at the House, we get to vote for them every 2 years, and that was in the original Constitution. So it's the House, at least, is the closest to the public. And so it is really designed to be a co-equal branch of government on par with the presidency. Now, the reason that people really don't think it's as important or it doesn't matter, there's a few factors for this. One is the presidential election draws a lot of media attention, a lot more than a congressional election. So it gives people the impression that, well, if the media is not talking about it as much, then we don't need to, it's not really as important. I think most congressional districts have also been redrawn to be not competitive, to not be competitive, right? So we've had extensive gerrymandering all across the state, and we're seeing these gerrymandering efforts in 2026 in particular. And so, some people might say, why bother voting since the district has been redrawn already? And so essentially, elected officials have chosen their voters rather than the other way around. And so that tend to also demotivate people from voting. And I think it also has to do with presidential candidates themselves, right? In the past, when you listen to presidential candidates, people running, not only those who were elected, but anybody who's running for president will tell you, well, this is how I'm going to fix this, and this is how I'm going to fix that. And so because those types of campaign messages are much more amplified, it really does give the impression that the president is the most important branch, that things are done through the executive branch and not through the legislative branch. And so all of these combined really make most races not competitive. And in fact, many members of Congress run unopposed. And so that's why we have this incredible paradox in American politics where the public really mostly loathes the institution that is Congress, but given the chance, they're much more likely to reelect their own member of Congress, right? And so that is a very interesting paradox, but it has very different reasons for being.
Yeah, that's fascinating. That's a great explanation. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's 70 to 80%. No, I got that wrong. 80 to 90% of all elected senators get reelected, and I think it was like 92 or 93% of all members of the House get reelected. And I think you're right. I think a lot of it is just complacency. Not everybody comes out to the polls. They just, he's a good guy. Everybody thinks he's a good guy because they recognize the name, and they just blunk. I'm doing the lever because I was born and raised in New York. We used to have a lever in our machines, a little thing you pop down. But people need, as our founding parents, plural, have said, that we'll lose our democracy unless we participate. And it's ours to lose. And sadly, I think way too few people participate. I wish I had you as my political science professor. It's always great to have you on, Dr. Fanny Lobby, professor in the Department of Political Science and Law at Montclair State University. Great college. Thank you so much, Professor, for coming on this morning. We always appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Have a great day.
You as well. Busy day here, primary day. So hopefully you'll get out and vote in the primary if you're registered to do so. And if you're not, why not? Get out there and register. Take part in our democratic republic. That's essential. 29 minutes past the hour. The phone lines are open. We'll take calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching Mornings. We're back in 2. very good morning. 31 minutes past the hour. It is Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato, live on the East Coast and the West. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has a forecast near you. Not so bad yesterday for the Northeast, Mike, at all. What are we going to have for today? Another repeat?
I think more of the same, but this time, today's a little bit different in that we get some more afternoon clouds and then possibly a pop-up shower that lingers for a few minutes across most of the state as these showers work their way from the north into the south. They follow this pattern of breezes from the jet stream working in from the north and northwest, providing that cooler than average feel, whereas all of the warm weather is locked out west. Even for tomorrow, we keep this pattern going. So another round of cooler breezes throughout the day tomorrow, and that warm weather stays in the Midwest through the rest of this week. Have to take some time and wait and see when that shifts eastward, and it does. By the time we get to Friday into Saturday, that's when we'll see temperatures warm back up into the upper 80s and even some low 90s. So it's clear all around with that high pressure sitting in place, allowing for the dry breezes to take over. And then we see a little bit of a wind shift by Thursday, pushing in more humidity, more moisture. That also means, yes, some more clouds, but it'll bring back a more summery feel by this weekend, especially for Saturday, as any rain chances stay well off to our north and west. So we're dry for the start of this morning. It's the afternoon that those clouds begin to develop, especially later on in the afternoon, probably closer to 1, 2 o'clock. Out west, keeping an eye on what's going in the west coast. Haven't seen anything in the sort of, more than the agricultural burns north of LA, but beyond that, it's a little bit of a marine layer that develops each morning, and then even throughout the day on Wednesday into Thursday, and by the end of the week, we'll see this clear out, bringing back mostly sunny skies, even a little further out into the coast, looking very pleasant by then. So again, a little bit of an early morning marine layer. You see some of these high thin clouds work their way in north of LA, but beyond that, we're running pretty dry today, and will stay that way through the rest of this week, whereas all of the wet weather is down across the southeast or across the Midwest today, Ken.
Amazing whenever there's a traffic incident listed, Mike, like I mean,
Yeah.
there was a weather condition visibility. I'm like, well, there's no rain there. So sure enough, you said agricultural burns. That makes sense. And apparently the smoke wafts across the highway and causes issues.
It
But
does,
there you
yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Very unique to California. We appreciate you, Mike, as always. It is 52 degrees, northern New Jersey, 50 in Trenton right now, and in Southern California, 54 in Los Angeles, 53 San Diego. And we do have a couple of traffic conditions to tell you about. Right now on Route 80, we have a crash. Local lanes impacted eastbound, east of exit 66 by Hudson Street in Hackensack. You can see that right there. Perfect eagle-eyed Pam right through, talking about a little fog or whatever that is causing that visibility issue. But again, that's in Hackensack on I-80 by exit 66, the local lanes impacted. Over to the Garden State, we have a crash on the GSP northbound, exiting at exit 127. That's Route 440 Woodbridge. All lanes are open, just a little slowdown. They had the lanes closed earlier. They were able to get the incident off to the side. Route 47, utility pole down, impacting both directions in Deptford. All lanes are closed to the north, and the right shoulder is closed southbound. And on 295, there's a crash southbound at exit 34, Route 70, Cherry Hill. Right shoulder is closed. Hudson River crossings right now, it is better at the Lincoln. I know that's not usually said, but right now it's 25 to 30 into Manhattan. The Holland Tunnel approach is 35 to 40, and the GWB upper and lower levels fairly heavy right now. You can see upper level on the right, lower on the left. Either way is going to cost you 40 to 45 minutes. Los Angeles, just a couple of incidents. Traffic collision right now. Santa Fe Springs at the 5 and Imperial Highway off-ramp. And then we have a collision in South LA on Firestone Boulevard at Zamora Avenue. Well, it is primary day in New Jersey, and voters throughout the Garden State are headed to the polls to help decide who will appear on the ballot this November. We say good morning to our friend, former Democratic New Jersey Assemblyman John Wisniewski, also former gubernatorial candidate himself and a longtime political analyst and observer of New Jersey politics. Good morning, John. Always great to have you on, sir.
Thank you for having me on, Ken. Good to be with you once again.
Thank you. Well, this is the first major statewide primary race since the county line system was dismantled. So, how different do you think this election will be from what we've seen in the past?
Well, I think we saw the beginning of that in the race to fulfill the unexpired term for Governor Sherrill, in which you had a scrum of candidates and the winner won obviously decisively, but not with anywhere near 40 or 50% of the vote. And I think you'll see that repeat in this cycle, where in the race to succeed Bonnie Watson Coleman, there are a number of candidates, and so it's possible theoretically for somebody to win one of those races with 25 or 30% of the vote, which it's a win. But you would hope that somebody going into a general election would wind up with a far greater share of the primary vote. Because remember, primary votes very sparse, right? We're not talking about the full electorate. We're talking about a portion, the Democratic side in that case, but also very small portion of that small portion. So 10, 15% at best in most primaries.
Yeah. So a handful of votes can make a difference, really.
Oh,
I mean, when it comes
absolutely.
down to it. Yeah.
This is from my days running in the General Assembly and then running for governor. This is literally a case where every door knocked on matters, every phone call made matters, every community event where you meet with 10 or 15 people matters, because the margins will be relatively small between the candidates.
Well, this is the way it used to be done. I'm sure you did it that way, knocking on the doors and shaking those hands and showing up at the chicken dinners and whatever. That's old-fashioned politics, and I think it's a good thing. I don't know about how you feel about it, but press and flesh and seeing people eye to eye, and when somebody pulls you aside and tells you what their personal concerns are, I'm sure that has an impact.
Well, I think that's exactly the way races should be run. I think also, however, in today's modern era of social media, email blitzes, posts, there are some candidates who believe that a better, more robust social media online presence can substitute for shoe leather and that grassroots activism. I'm not sure that really, in the long run, works. It might get you across the finish line on election day, but it has, I think, long-term downside consequences.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, 100%. John, you know the details of this state more than probably 90% of the people who live here. What races are the races that everyone in with an appetite for politics nationwide should be looking at right now?
Well, I think it's the race to be the candidate to challenge Tom Kean in the general election. Tom Kean has been absent due to health reasons, but there hasn't been a really clear explanation by his office as to exactly what the issue is. Is he coming back? And so that's provided a lot of uh, extra oomph to the Democratic side. And in that race, that person will have a very good opportunity to unseat Congressman Kean. And then the race to succeed Bonnie Watson Coleman, in which you have, a variety of candidates from Mercer County, Middlesex County, Union County, all vying for that seat. And both of those races are going to be races in which the person who outworks the others, who, they all have bases. For instance, Mayor Mapp is running in Union County. He's the mayor of Plainfield. He's going to produce the votes in Plainfield. He's got to cross over into the Trenton portion of the district and be able to pick up a portion of that. Brad Cohen, mayor of East Brunswick and Middlesex County, is running in that race, and he's got to do, he'll do well in that portion of the district, but he's got to have some way of transcending into Plainfield or into the Trenton side of the district to actually break through and win that election. It'd be interesting to see how each of the candidates do that when we look at the results tonight.
John, I understand, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I understand the issue with Tom Kean. If it's health related, we get it. But I think people are empathetic enough and respectful enough that as long as we had a little more clarity from the Kean camp as to say, look, he has a maybe an update once a week. He's still, his doctor is saying blah, blah, blah. But the idea of this being in the basement and not talking and saying, and every month saying another few weeks, another few weeks, another few weeks. At some point, there's an old saying, "S or get off the pot." And I don't mean to be so graphic at this hour, but I think the Democrats I've been awfully polite because I know if this was a Democrat and the Republicans would be screaming, get out of office because you're not doing your job. If you or I didn't show up for work for 3 months, we'd have an issue. So at what point do people, I mean, is it the fault of the Republican Party in the state of New Jersey for not forcing him a little bit more? Because if I were a constituent in his district, I'd be up to here.
You know, I had dinner with a friend that I went to high school who is very active on Republican circles in D.C. And what I've been told is that even the Speaker of the House isn't really clear on exactly what the issue facing Tom Kean is. And he is obviously got some type of health issue. I served in the legislature with Tom. I wish him all the best. I hope he has a full recovery and that he has, a very healthy life after whatever troubles he's going through now. But I do think that even once, I mean, it doesn't have to be weekly, just once, a little of an explanation as to, and it doesn't even have to get to the meat of the health issue. It's private. Some people may not want to share that, but at least some type of indication that my doctors say, give me 2 months, give me 6 months, whatever. Even in the depth of John Fetterman's stroke in the middle of a campaign, and then service as a United States Senator, but having serious health issues, he was forthcoming and shared with people what he was going through and what type of timeline he was on. I think just it's really mystifying because for the Republican Party, they're really putting that seat at risk by the obscurity as to what's going on.
I think they've lost that seat. I think a lot of people think that too at this point because you're 100% right on that, John. Record that and play that back when we have debates in the future. You're 100%. You're 100% right on that. And if I were in the district, I'd be like, okay, adios. You don't want to communicate with me, and we do wish him well. God bless him, and I hope tomorrow he's 100%. But you have to communicate. That's essential. I know you got a busy day ahead. We appreciate you always, former New Jersey Assemblyman. Yes, busy day. Former New Jersey Assemblyman John Wisniewski, always great having you on. We appreciate you giving us the time today, John. Have a great one.
Likewise, good. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. All right. It's 44 minutes past the hour. When we come back, most kids love recess. But now we learn they're not wrong to do so. We're going to speak with the chair of the Department of Psychiatry at Hackensack Meridian Jersey Shore University Medical Center about the importance of that beloved midday break. We're coming back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato at 46 minutes past the hour, taking calls at 888-658-0234. We bring in meteorologist Mike Favetta. And Mike, I'm looking over I have my LA stuff over here and I have my New Jersey stuff over here. And I'm
Okay.
looking at LA and it says mostly cloudy, 63. I never see, but it's always a big sun, big happy sun, big happy
Right.
sun, big
Well,
happy sun.
it's this darn Omega block, Ken. It keeps changing the weather and bringing in these unusual patterns. So yes, a pretty low marine layer shaping up across Southern California right now. That's what's giving us the cooler than average weather and these northerly breezes, keeping our weather a little cooler. Also the afternoon clouds and a quick passing sprinkle today. A lot of the crazy weather is happening across the Midwest, and those are the showers and storms with a big warm up there. That eventually shifts east, arriving across the East Coast by Sunday evening. So weather gets a little more active then. And then we tap into cloudy, cooler weather to start off next week. So the unusual pattern continues. Look how we start off this morning nice and clear. By this afternoon, clouds develop. You see those showers work their way down and give us a little bit of that unsettled weather. But through the first 2 weeks of June, this is going out and to the next 14 days, you'll start to see another warm up ahead, not just for the East Coast, but most of the country as the pattern shifts and provides big time heat out west. And we'll start to tap into that as well. Also, unusually wetter conditions as the rain starts to work its way eastward and the moisture takes over for the next 2 weeks. That'll start to quell some of the drought, which is still ongoing down across the southeast, but even portions of New Jersey, seeing that dry weather continue as well. We'll tell you all about it coming up with a detailed look of your local New Jersey forecast in just a
Very
few minutes.
Very good, sir. We appreciate you. I love the Omega block. The Omega block. The people in California are losing their minds when they see clouds next to their sun. They
Yeah,
just
they
don't
are.
understand. I understand they've called 911 over and over again saying, I'm seeing these white things in the sky. What is it? LA. It is LA. We love them. All
Well,
right, sir. Thank you very much. Then there's that. I'll be there, by the way, this weekend. I'm going to ask for the personal forecast. So you got to tell me what's going on.
you got it.
Uh, all right, I'll be one of the Angelinos. All right, it is 49 minutes past the hour, 48 degrees right now, northern New Jersey. It's 50 in Trenton. And in Los Angeles right now, it is 63 degrees, it says, 61 degrees in San Diego. And yes, if you've never been, Southern California is one of the most beautiful places on the planet. I know that the city of LA proper is having its issues right now, homeless challenges, et cetera. I'm talking about the greater area. If you go there, the greater region is just stunning. And the state of California on a whole is just one of the most beautiful places on the planet. It just is. And it differs from the top to the bottom. It could be a country unto itself. Sorry to spend so much time on it, but it is a lovely place. In terms of traffic, we have a utility pole down right now, both directions impacted. South of Route 665, Gattell Road in Deptford. This is impacting Route 47. So Route 47 Deptford, look out for that. Utility pole down, impacting traffic significantly. Over to I-80. There's a crash on the local lanes eastbound, east of exit 66, Hudson Street in Hackensack. The left lane is currently closed, and you can imagine it's normally heavy in that area on I-80 during the morning drive. You add an issue like this, forget about it. So again, it's a crash, I-80 local lanes eastbound, east of exit 66 in Hackensack. GSP now, Garden State, we got a crash northbound exiting at exit 127 Woodbridge. We showed you that camera shot a little while ago. That's being worked on right now. In fact, it just disappeared from my screen as I said that. They may have just cleared that up. That's good news because that was a mess. And we have a crash on 295 southbound exit 34 Cherry Hill, right shoulder currently closed. We look at the Hudson River crossings. Let's look at the Lincoln and Holland. Right now, the Lincoln is only 20 minutes in, Holland 30. GWB upper and lower levels very heavy. In fact, look at this. Upper level is on the right. That's maybe a hair better, a couple of minutes lower on the left. But right now, overall, it's 40 to 45 minutes in via the GWB. Over to the West Coast we go. We have a few incidents to talk about. Again, Mike had mentioned, because it says here road/weather conditions, and that could mean a lot of things. Apparently, they're doing burns of some of the agriculture, and that causes smoke to waft onto the highways. So there are about 10 different incidents of that. That's what that was about. We have a traffic collision in Santa Fe Springs at the 5 and Imperial Highway off-ramp, and we have a collision right now, South LA at Firestone Boulevard and Zamora Avenue. Kids spend a lot of time in the classroom, but experts say one of the most important parts of the school day may actually be the time spent outside of the classroom. A new statement from the American Academy of Pediatrics is reinforcing the value of recess. I had an A plus in recess, calling it essential for children's physical health, emotional well-being, social development, and even academic success. Dr. Stacy Dumas is the chair of the Department of Psychiatry at Hackensack Meridian Jersey Shore University Medical Center. We say good morning to you, Dr. Dumas.
Good morning. Thank you for having me today.
You bet. And I kid about having had an A plus in recess, but it is important for about 100 different reasons, right? Not only does it give the kids kind of a mental checkout break after the stress of the first half of the day, kind of recharges them for later, but it also is valuable for social interaction and whatnot, isn't it?
Absolutely. Recess is where children practice social, emotional skills, and it's where they learn things like negotiating, problem solving, emotional regulation. And in the era of screen time, this is a place where they actually get peer to peer interaction and learn all of those social skills.
Yeah, and so why did the American Academy of Pediatrics issue the updated guidance on recess now? Was there something that triggered it for this point?
Their guidance was not anything groundbreaking or brand new. They had, provided very similar guidance 13 years ago when they had put something similar out on recess. I think it's really just to make sure we're emphasizing that recess is not a break from learning. It supports learning and should not be going anywhere. And there are schools that are cutting down on it in favor of academics. And there are schools that also use it punitively.
Yeah, and that's true, right? You're at recess. You have to go to the teacher's or the principal's office or whatever, right? And that's not a good thing. Or if you don't behave, you're not going to get your recess. And that you're right. That's like saying if you don't behave, you're not going to go to math class, which it should be that important, right?
Absolutely. The children who often need recess most are the ones who lose it because they obviously, if you have a behavioral issue, you should be held accountable, but not by losing that movement break or that opportunity to practice social skills. Same thing with academics. If you need some help to work on the academics, losing that break to reset your attention is not going to help with that.
And we're not talking, it doesn't have to be an hour and a half. It could even if it's 20 to 30 minutes, right? Just that little time to separate from the classroom environment and spend time with your peers, correct?
Absolutely. That's what research shows that having that movement break, and it doesn't have to be a long one, as you said, it helps, reset attention, improve memory, and ultimately improve learning and performance.
Yeah, and I know that we're seeing more and more growing concerns about anxiety and even depression. When I was a kid, and that was about 100 years ago, we never heard about kids and depression unless it was a very extreme circumstance. But this seems to be happening more and more in kids who you would be surprised to hear that from. Can recess help address those challenges?
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you brought that up. As a child psychiatrist, a mother of five, this is one of the things that's so prevalent in the world right now is the anxiety and the mental health conditions. And recess having that ability to have movement, to have social interactions, to have that break from learning, this is really helpful for a lot of children's mental health.
Yeah, and New Jersey, I understand. I didn't even realize this till I did the research for this segment, that New Jersey requires at least 20 minutes of daily recess for elementary school students. Good for New Jersey for paying attention to that and doing that. Should they even look for a little more? Maybe should it be 30 or 40, or is 20, should 20 at least be the baseline?
I think 20 is a good baseline. And I think that, I was asking my own children where they get other breaks in their day and where they get other things. And I think there's lots of creative ways to make sure that in addition to that 20 minutes, that there's, like cognitive breaks and that there's movement breaks and other things in their day that can be equally as useful.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of schools are dealing with the issue of screen time even during breaks. But I know also that I don't know if is it a law yet in New Jersey that you have to hand in your phone when you come in the morning and get it back, or is that just certain schools? I'm not even sure, doctor. Do you know?
They're working on it right now. All the schools are coming up with different plans on how they collect the phones, and it's not always throughout the whole day, but in different classes, how they're collecting them. So, yes, they're definitely starting to implement that across the state right now. And as you
Gotcha.
mentioned, the screen time, when resource has to be indoors because of the weather or because of, cold, rain, recommended that it's not on screens, that it's not extra time to play on computer, but that it's either something more active or at least interactive between the children.
I love it. That's so important because we don't want to have a generation of people that only interact with a piece of glass and electronics, right? We want to have people who could look each other in the eye, have a conversation and problem solve and negotiate and have conversation and raise a good responsible next generation of adults. So very important. We love having you on. What a great topic. The importance of recess. Dr. Stacy Dumas, chair of the Department of Psychiatry at Hackensack Meridian, Jersey Shore University Medical Center. I had to take a breath before I could say all that. That was a lot. Uh, thank you. I love your business card. Must like wrap around the back or something. That's huge. Thank you, doctor, for coming on as you do and give us such great insight. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
You bet, doctor. Coming up on 58 minutes past the hour. For those of you watching on LACA on the West Coast, stay tuned for your local news. If you're watching on New Jersey, ONNJ.com. We'll be right back live with New Jersey news, opinion, weather, and traffic. Remember, it's primary day in both states, so pay attention and get out and do the primary voting. Thanks for watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. We're back in 2. Very good morning. It's 8 a.m. Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Sunshine today. Could be some clouds in the afternoon, highs in the upper 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta as the full Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike. So we're talking maybe a few more clouds this afternoon than we had yesterday.
And a cooler start to the day today, Ken. A little bit of a
Yes.
northerly breeze cooled us off overnight, so you feel that nice chill in the air. 52 degrees this morning in Flemington. Same for you up in Sussex, 57 in Newark. A refreshing breeze that starts off our day. We are running anywhere from 7 to 9 degrees cooler than this time yesterday. So yeah, a little bit of a cool down. Thanks to a light northerly breeze and northwest wind that will dry out the air, keep us sunny for the morning, but also bring back some clouds this afternoon. Any great time this weather pattern sets up. Get a lot of sunshine that moves through. These clouds develop through the afternoon, sparking off a few quick passing showers. So temperatures will try to make it back into the mid 70s, but probably not much more than that. Back down into the 50s later on tonight, and we start off nice and cool, especially through the early morning hours, bringing back a little bit of that nice chill with the temperatures that stay cool even through the afternoon. And then by Thursday, we start to warm things back up into the afternoon with highs that are back in the 80s through the late part of the day. So bringing back a little bit more of that milder stretch of air that'll take over through the next few days. And that in turn will help things turn a little bit milder by the end of the week. All right, well, the camera is not where you want it to come back, but we'll give you the full forecast. I promise. It's coming up, Ken, in just a bit.
Yeah, you're trying to tell me, look at that, Mike, you're looking awfully dark this morning. Did you, I
Forecast
mean,
is
did you
dark
not
tonight,
use
yes. We give you the full
live
experience here.
TV? I love it. All right. So right now, if we were at Channel 7, back in the days when you and I were at Channel 7, right now the engineers would be having a heart attack. But I think this is fun. There we go. All right, Mike, we'll
We
let you
try.
go deal with that. Thank you very much, sir. Hey, this is what happens. Literally, it's so different in the days of TV back then. You would have had 20 engineers like calling the bosses to save their jobs to fix that problem. All right, it is 2 minutes past 8 o'clock. In terms of traffic, we have a bunch of things going on right now. There's a crash. Route 9, southbound, north of Route 35, South Amboy, the left lane of 2 lanes closed. That's causing a lot of traffic. I think, Pam, you got the I-80 shot up. So let's go to I-80. There's a crash. Local lanes impacted eastbound, east of exit 66, Hudson Street in Hackensack. One left lane closed. You can see the mess that's causing, as if it's normally not a mess of traffic at this hour. We have a crash now on 195 westbound, east of exit 2 in Hamilton Township. Left lane is closed there. And then on 295, we have a crash southbound at exit 34, Route 70, Cherry Hill. The right shoulder is closed. Utility pole down on Route 47, impacting traffic both directions by Cattell Road in Deptford. The left lane is closed northbound and the right shoulder is closed southbound. Just a mess of traffic throughout the state right now. We go to the Hudson River crossings, and what we have at the Lincoln is only about 20 to 25. Holland is now up to 40 minutes in, and the GWB, yeah, look at that. This is Route 139 coming off of 78. Look at those. That's quite a stretch there. Stop traffic. 40 minutes in on that. That's a mess. We got to see what's going on there. Let's go over to the GWB if we can. Upper and lower levels have been heavy since before 7 this morning. And that's really just more volume than anything else. You can see the upper level on the right, lower on the left, and that's a 40 to 45-minute ride into upper Manhattan right now. 8:03, and the FIFA World Cup is coming to our region in less than a couple of weeks. We're so used to saying, oh, it's weeks away, it's months away. It's not. It's only a week and a half away. New Jersey is prepping for the onslaught of visitors and fans, many of whom have actually gotten here already. Not to mention the economic activity that'll come with one of the biggest sporting events on the planet. Hoboken, which is certainly one of the coolest cities in the entire state, expected to play a major role in the celebration. What's going on at the birthplace of Sinatra? Let's say good morning to Hoboken's fine mayor, Emily Jabbour. Good morning, Mayor Jabbour. Good to have you on.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on today. I appreciate it.
We always appreciate when you come on. We know you're very busy. And what's gone into the planning of the World Cup in Hoboken? You're a mile square, and you're probably going to host half the people who are coming here.
Yes. Well, Hoboken is very excited to be one of the top destinations for people to come and celebrate World Cup. This is a once in a generation event that's going to happen so close to us. And given Hoboken is one of the most walkable cities in the entire world, we're really excited for people to come to Hoboken as a destination to share in the festivities, to share in the World Cup spirit, and at the same time support our local businesses. We have an incredible plan put together in terms of how we can celebrate the World Cup and bring that benefit to all of our small local businesses across the city. So we are going to be doing a series of block parties throughout the duration of the tournament across our city. People will have the opportunity to visit our different neighborhoods and see different businesses. And it's going to be a wonderful way for our community to come together and celebrate.
Yeah, there is nothing better than being anywhere within a few blocks of the water. And Hoboken, even if you're the farthest point, you're still only a few blocks from the water. Being anywhere near, you get that incredible skyline view. And Hoboken, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Hoboken the closest point in like the lower Hudson River, the closest point to Manhattan, right? Doesn't it jut out into the water?
Yes. Exactly.
That's why
we
it looks
are.
so
We're
big.
right across the river. So we'll have a front row seat to the skyline. It's the most beautiful view you can get. And we'll have quick access also to MetLife Stadium because of being a transit point. So Hoboken Terminal, it brings together a number of different transit points. So we are in a premier position to really give people access, but I'm hopeful they'll also make Hoboken the destination as part of their process, because we are an incredible place. We are the most walkable city, like I said, in the country probably, and have a gorgeous waterfront that people can stroll along, enjoy, and also celebrate.
And phenomenal restaurants and the little bakeries and the delis and the pizzeria. I mean, it is just such a diamond in the state of New Jersey. Your city truly is. And for those who are coming in as guests from out of town, expanded alcohol sale hours have been approved for the World Cup related events. So how do you see that benefiting the local businesses and the hospitality industry?
Sure. Well, we had the honor of hosting Governor Mikey Sherrill when she made that announcement of giving us additional flexibilities. In consultation with Hoboken City Council, we decided to give some of those flexibilities to our businesses in order to accommodate some of those later games, so that our businesses can stay open, fans can see the full matches, they won't have to leave early, and share, the full excitement of those late night matches. We're certainly keeping an eye to quality of life concerns, being 1 square mile city, that's always a bit of a balance in that. But for months, we've been really planning and executing along with the Hoboken Business Alliance, with our public safety divisions, to make sure that we are really thoughtful about the process that we put in place around all of these festivities.
Yeah, I know a lot of folks in your city who have rented out their place on Airbnb and they're making a nice little chunk of change to the folks coming in. They're going away to Pennsylvania, they're going away to Florida because they don't want to be around the crowds. But that's a good way to make some money, right? And rent out to people. What kind of feedback have you been hearing from the local business people, the restaurateurs, the bars, and even the hotel folks? What have you been hearing? Is there anything that we need to know?
People are very excited. I mean, this really is such a wonderful opportunity for us to celebrate, and to put Hoboken at the forefront. People know that obviously there's an economic benefit to this, but it's also a wonderful opportunity to celebrate. Anytime the World Cup happens, it always creates excitement. But when it's so local that it's really right in your backyard, it's a whole different level. I've already been meeting tourists who are in the area ahead of the tournament. I met a family from Korea the other day on our waterfront. People are really excited to come to Hoboken as a destination as part of their World Cup celebrations. We have the W Hotel here that is actually hosting not a team, but rather some of the officials. So that's an interesting twist. Historically, some of the teams would stay in Hoboken, and we have a strong passion for soccer in Hoboken. So the kids would just be lined up outside of the hotel to get a sight of some of our most famous players coming through. So it's really going to bring so many different generations together to be excited about this tournament.
Yeah, the cool thing is Hoboken too is so culturally diverse. You have people from all over the world there who probably have a greater love of football, right, as it is called everywhere but here, um, than most native-born Americans have, and that helps charge up the energy because they're so into it. Are there some specific community events in Hoboken for people who say may not be attending the matches but just want to take part in the energy and the fun?
Absolutely. We are doing a series of block parties called our Big Match Parties, and they will be across the city. So at different points in time, they will activate different zones. We'll have 6 different zones across the city. So you have the opportunity to check out different businesses that will be highlighted there. Whether, there will be restaurants, there will be bars, there'll be kids activities. We're really going to be thoughtful to make sure they're family friendly events. So every weekend, there's going to be a different location across the city. Again, this is in partnership with the Hoboken Business Alliance. They've helped us execute this plan and bring everyone together, and also so that we can make sure that we spread it across the city. So you're only steps away, no matter what neighborhood you live in town. And then hopefully people will come and check out all of our very different areas. The waterfront is certainly one of our most highlighted parts of our city, but we have incredible neighborhoods throughout the Mile Square city and a lot of different businesses that are excited to host.
And you get a view, no matter where you are in Hoboken, there's a view of the skyline. So it's not like you got to be right at the waterfront. You can see the skyline from pretty much anywhere in town, thankfully, because of the size of the city. And transportation, of course, always a major focus. What steps are being taken to make sure that people can move safely and efficiently during the World Cup?
Absolutely. We'll be thoughtful about making sure that we are in coordination with transit. We'll be doing a lot of communications. So if it's for Hoboken residents who are looking to get to a match, or if they're just moving around the region, we'll be providing updates regularly. We've put a hold on a number of, the larger construction projects in town to really try and simplify and smooth out people's process. We'll be sharing all the updates from NJ Transit. Hoboken Terminal is a major critical transportation point for this region. And so it gives access, of course, in and out of Manhattan, as well as to MetLife Stadium. So we're going to be continuing to communicate all the different options that exist for people to move about, and strongly encourage public transportation. That's going to be the best way to get here.
Yeah, well, it's Mayor, is it me or it seems like we've been talking about this forever, and it's a week from Saturday. A week from, I mean, it's
No, I can't
like
believe it.
literally on our doorstep. I can't even, yeah, me too. It's just crazy. We've been talking forever about it, but it is great to have you on again. The first World Cup match taking place just a week from Saturday, a week and a half away. A very busy person who was kind enough to give us a lot of time this morning, Hoboken
Of course.
Mayor Emily Jabbour. Always, always, always a pleasure to have you on, representing the coolest darn city in the whole state of New Jersey, Hoboken. Thank you
Thank you
again,
so
Mayor. We'll
much.
see
Come
you
to
soon.
Hoboken to celebrate. We can't wait.
Love it. I love Hoboken. It's truly one of my favorite places. So awesome. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
You bet. She is awesome. She's a great lady. It is 8:13. We have a temperature 52 degrees. A little chilly this morning when I got up. I got up like at 4:30 in the morning. It was something like 44. It was chilly, as Mike was telling us. So sunshine today, maybe a few clouds, highs upper 70s. You're watching Mornings. We're back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:15. We'll take your calls. 888-658-0234. Hey, are you going to the FIFA World Cup? Let us know. Tell us about it. How'd you get your tickets? What'd you spend? 888-658-0234. And what are your plans? What game are you seeing? That's another thing. People just speak generically. Yeah, I'm going to the World Cup. But there are a gazillion games, a gazillion matches on a gazillion days. Here's somebody who gives us a gazillion forecasts, meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast. And just think, Mike, next week at this time, we'll be asking you to look ahead at Saturday's FIFA World Cup opening game forecast.
I'm sure you will. Well, there's a hotter, warmer trend that brings back some chances of rain, down the road. But there's a little bit of a dip in temperatures about a week from now, keeping an eye on, especially after the warm up that's forecast through the rest of this week into the weekend. The little bit of a cool down today will actually make it feel quite pleasant. A mix of sun and clouds, low humidity, nice dry air, temperatures in the 70s. The UV index is back up at an 8, which is very high. Lovely amount of sunshine today. Could burn in less than a half hour, especially with us not really being accustomed to that sunshine, given how cool it's been and with the clouds that we had, especially over Memorial Day weekend. Well, now with tomorrow's weather starting off in the 70s, making it into the 80s, we're back up into normal territory temperature-wise throughout the middle of the week. Thursday, add a few more degrees, possibly getting closer to 90, and there's our 90 degrees by Friday. Now into the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, see some extra clouds, definitely more humidity. You will feel that. And then by Sunday afternoon into Monday, that's our next chance for some wet weather, persistent rain. And that rain likely lingers into the first part of next week. So looking at the weekend forecast, starts off nice and dry, gets hot on Saturday, 93, and then a little bit of a cool down with some clouds and maybe some showers arriving by Sunday evening. But that's just the beginning of some cooler weather ahead for next week. We'll tell you more about it with the 7-day forecast, Ken, coming up.
All right. Appreciate that, Mike. Thank you. 52 degrees right now, northern New Jersey, 55 in Trenton. It's 51 in Cape May, 54 degrees in Vineland. Checking up and down the state. In terms of traffic, we got a lot of stuff happening. Let's go to the Garden State Parkway. This is a crash on the GSP northbound, north of Bergen Toll Plaza in Saddlebrook. Center lane is blocked, as you can see right there. And that's always the worst because as people go to the left and to the right, they all look and they're going slowly to be careful not to hit those workers, obviously. So that causes traffic everywhere. But it is what it is. They didn't anticipate having a crash, those folks, when they left their homes. But it looks like what may have happened is one car was turning into the other lane and they met at the door. Thankfully, it doesn't look like anyone was hurt. But nonetheless, okay, that is Garden State Parkway crash, center lane, just north of the Bergen Toll Plaza, Saddlebrook. Center lane is blocked. Also on the GSP, we have an incident, a crash, southbound north of exit 132 in Woodbridge, 2 right lanes blocked there. Over to Route 9, we have a crash southbound north of Route 35, South Amboy, left lane is closed. And Route 47, we have a utility pole down, impacting traffic in both directions, south of Cattell Road in Deptford. Left lane closed northbound, right shoulder closed south. 295, there's a crash. Let's see. There's a crash 295 south by exit 34, Cherry Hill. The right shoulder is currently closed. Your Hudson River crossings. Pam, do you have the shot on from, let's see, Holland Tunnel? If we have that. This is Route, what is this? Okay, yeah. So this is coming from Route 78 by 139. So this is 139. You can see the traffic just stopped on the left side. So the people on the left side there, they're going into the right tube into Manhattan, and we're told that's about a 40-minute commute, and that's really bad. That's worse than normal at this time, but just to give you a heads up on that. Over to the Lincoln, that's only 20 minutes, and the GWB upper and lower levels have been a mess all morning. 40 to 45 minutes in, either upper or lower. You can see the upper on the right and the lower on the left. It is 8:19. If you have not heard of 3D printing, well, where have you been? It's no longer just something that you see in engineering labs or science fiction movies. In fact, the New Jersey business is helping folks get hands-on with the technology in a very fun way. It's called the 3D Lab. It is in Flemington. It's grown from a family-owned passion project into an award-winning business. In fact, it recently received an American Express Backing Small Businesses grant. Jessica Wallace is the owner of the 3D Lab. We say good morning to you, Jessica.
Hi.
Hey, so there's a lot that a 3D printer can build, but there are certain things it can't build. So tell everybody what a 3D printer is and the things it can and can't reproduce.
3D printers can make most things these days. People don't realize they are now printing houses, car parts, and we have actually even been printing fake organs for transplants since the 90s. A lot of people don't realize that. Here at the 3D Lab, we print a lot of toys, a lot of fun stuff, a lot of silly stuff.
That's that's kind of cool. But let's go back to what you just said, the printing of organs. So it's the way it was described to me by a computer friend was that a 3D printer is akin to a sewing machine, right? It's a tool that takes whatever you put in it and knits it all together in detail. Is that kind of a good way to describe it?
Yeah, pretty much. You can design something or you can grab a ready-made design and you are putting that through what's called a slicing software. That slices it literally into layers and it tells the printer how to print every single layer.
That's amazing. So by creating organs, what you're doing is you're literally taking the cells, right, of from a person, maybe stem cells or whatever cell, a kidney cell or whatever, and it puts it together in a way that it'll then grow into an organ. Is that kind of how it works?
Well, I have never 3D printed an organ myself. It's just my favorite fun fact for people that think 3D printing is new. It's not that it's new, it's that it's booming.
Right. Yeah, you didn't spend your Sunday. Hey, I think I'm gonna go print a liver. Don't we need a pancreas? Joey, get me a pancreas. Uh, I'm a little demented. I'm sorry. But so you could, I mean, we of course doing the news, we always hear about 3D printed guns, which are illegal to do. And I know I'm sure you don't do that or think about it, but there are very positive things. There are parts to cars, parts to toys, parts to electronics, even tables. And you mentioned even houses. Literally a 3D, we did a story about 10 years ago of a house that was entirely 3D printed. So each segment was created by a printer right on site. And that's the amazing thing. So again, it really depends on the materials you put into the printer that they then spit out as part of the whatever the entirety is, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. There are large printers, little printers, printers that print with cement. Here, we're really focusing on introducing kids and families to learn how to use these, which is why our specialty is the more fun stuff.
I love it. Do you have any stuff there that you printed with the 3D printer?
Have our little
Oh, that's
balloon
cool.
dog. We try to do some bigger stuff too. I'm trying to see what I can grab. Let's see what we got. This was
Nice.
yesterday's project. I don't know if you're a Grateful Dead fan, but
Yes, yes.
so
That's very cool. Now, is that hollow? Is that solid? How's it done?
it it has infill, so it is not 100% solid, but it has some strength inside of there. However, if you drop this, it will break.
Ah, got it. That's fascinating. It can literally whatever you input, you put in the design and it'll just recreate that. Kids must go apoplectic crazy watching
Yeah,
those machines spit that stuff out.
yeah, this was all inspired by my son who is a STEAM kid through and through. And I realized that the kids that are into tech like this or art, they're doing a lot of those things by themselves in their room maybe. And I thought, what if we put all these kids in a room together? They can learn this. They don't have to have any experience. Most of them are very excited about it, but they can also watch what each other's doing and give each other some ideas. And it's a lot of fun, especially to watch a first timer who's mesmerized by it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, now you've seen some really cool things that students have created. So aside from art, which is an awesome thing, have you seen some other really cool stuff that kids have created?
Yeah, I actually have a student named Justin who recently, so he's taken a lot of classes with me, and he recently designed these custom tables that have little cup holders and even the logo of his tennis club. So he made a
I
whole
love it.
bunch of them. He made a little video about making them, and that's amazing to see. Okay, now these kids are turning this into their own little business. They're designing, and they're even going to make some money at this.
That is phenomenal. Now, can you make something that is entirely hollow? Like, for instance, a ping pong ball, let's say. Can you reproduce a ping pong ball that would be hollow?
You can. I don't know that I would say it is 100% hollow, but you can make it pretty close.
It's amazing. But even just for the things like years ago, if you had a car, an old car, and they stopped producing the part, you could literally put in metal or whatever, and it'll spit out, or in a polymer of some sort, it'll spit out that part. So the concept of, oh, they don't make that anymore. They don't make the replacement part anymore. That's a thing of the past because of 3D printing.
Yep, absolutely. And people can now use scanners that will scan an object and come up with the dimensions and the angles, and you can actually design and print from that as well.
I love it. I mean, just mind blowing. And you recently received the American Express Backing Small Businesses grant. So, what did that recognition mean to you?
That was amazing. When I heard about that grant, I actually thought, oh my God, I think this is meant for me, because it was about small businesses with growth, but that also had a community impact. And I have a beautiful community here in Flemington, very supportive families that encourage their children to come here. And we kind of can't keep up with the demand. So the grant was amazing for me because I'm going to be able to get more equipment, which means I can offer more classes and shorten some of those wait lists. But I knew the minute I saw it that this was mine. And it's the first time in my life I had no doubt I'm going to get this. And I did.
Yeah, Flemington is one of those walkable cities with a downtown and a movie theater, right? I remember we had somebody on about 8 months ago. They talked about this downtown tour they do on the weekends in Flemington. Just a beautiful place. So now, what do you think you're going to do with that funding to reach more students and help your company grow?
So I don't know if you could see, but behind me is a counter that has no printers on it. That entire counter back there is going to be lined with printers, and that helps me to be able to add at least one class per evening if I choose. And then we can get
I
some of the
love it.
kids off those wait lists. I also did treat myself to an extra large printer that I have called Big Mama that helps me to make bigger pieces more quickly, especially for things like my window displays.
Awesome. And your website there, flemington3dlab.com, is that correct?
Yep.
All right. Jessica Wallace, owner of the 3D Lab in Flemington, New Jersey. We love what you're doing. Thank you for coming on and thank you for
Thank
sharing with all
you.
the students too. All right. All the best to you. That is
Thanks.
so cool. 52 degrees right now. Thank you. 828. Phone lines are open 888-658-0234. You're watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. We're back in 2 minutes. Don't go away. Very good morning. Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026, 52 degrees northern New Jersey, 55 in Trenton. 8:30 is our time. Ken Rosato, welcome back to On New Jersey Morning. Sun today, a few clouds in the afternoon, highs upper 70s, and meteorologist Mike Favetta has the detailed Garden State forecast near you. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. Great weather today, refreshing, sunny and dry. Looks really pretty, and we've got some awesome weather on the way for this afternoon, too. The satellite nice and clear today down the shore, highs making it into the mid 60s along the shore, mid 70s inland, where you won't find that sea breeze. But even right now, wind gusts are light. It's a clear, still morning. The pollen pretty high, back to the high level for the trees and grasses and weeds, holding steady at moderate. So with today not quite making it to the average high of 77 degrees, we keep running with longer daylight hours each and every day, and but the water temperature staying chilly, 58-degree water temperature over in Atlantic City, 61 toward Cape May. So yeah, it's cool. It's feels chillier by the ocean, but as we head into the next few days, the warmer weather with highs staying us in the 90s also increases our chances of rain by Sunday afternoon into Monday, and then we see a little bit of a cool down, which you'll see coming up in just a few seconds on the 7-day forecast. The futurecast showing a few passing clouds this afternoon, any one of which could bring a quick passing sprinkle, but the rain chances are pretty much zero going into tomorrow and Thursday. Even Friday stays nice and dry. Then the winds come in from the south and west, bring in a few extra clouds. Rain chances much higher by Sunday, and that will end the weekend on a pretty damp note. But look at the warming trend from the 70s today into the 80s tomorrow, 90s by Friday, and staying in the 90s for Saturday. It's a warm finish at 82 on Sunday, and then cooler by Monday with that continued chance of rain. So still have about a good 6 dry days ahead of us before we tap into some steady showers later on this weekend. And it's pretty much after the weekend is through. So good news, we get the nice, dry, sunny, warm weather in time for the weekend, Ken.
Hey, we'll take sunny, warm weekends any day of the week. Thank you very much,
Mhm.
Mike. Appreciate you. It is 52 degrees, northern New Jersey, 55 in Trenton. We look at traffic and got a lot of it. Let's start on the Garden State Parkway. Southbound, north of exit 132, Route 27 in Woodbridge Township. If you look at this shot, you'll see it's off to the top. See on the top left there? That's just a buildup, a gradual buildup I've noticed on that camera shot in the last few minutes. So that is about a mile before the incident, but they are driving toward the crash right now. Garden State Parkway southbound, north of exit 132 Woodbridge. All lanes open, but again, causing a little bit of a volume delay because they are slowing down as they pass. Let's tell you about Route 47. There is a downed utility pole impacting traffic both directions. By Cattell Road in Deptford, the left lane is closed northbound and the right shoulder is closed southbound. Let's go back to the Garden State Parkway now. There's a crash on the GSP northbound, north of the Bergen Toll Plaza. This is in Saddlebrook. All lanes are open again, but everybody's slowing down as they get past that crash, and you can see the mess as a result. Over to 295, pardon me, we have a crash southbound exit 34, Route 70 in Cherry Hill with the right shoulder closed. The Lincoln Tunnel only has 25 minutes in. The Holland is a mess. Route 139 coming off of 78, you can see is stopped. Look at those lanes of traffic right there in the middle. The people who are off to the side who are moving, they're going to local roads, but the people in the middle are trying to get into the Holland, into Manhattan. That's going to cost you 35 to 40. GWB upper and lower level, not a lot better. In fact, it's pretty bad. Also 35 to 40. Upper level is on the right, lower level is on the left. Well, retailers survive by finding new ways to grow by focusing on community and personal connection. Norman's Hallmark just opened a new location in Woodbridge. Vince Nowitzki is the vice president of retail for Norman's Hallmark. We say good morning and welcome to you, Vince.
Good morning, Ken. How are you?
Good, thank you. Over the years, there used to be a Hallmark store practically in every mall and every shopping center. And then you got the CVSs of the world, and they put crappy cards in. They didn't do the good stuff. They put the crappy cards in, and people said, I'll save a trip. I'll go here. And I noticed Hallmark stores were disappearing. But I think people got used to the fact that the cards in their local pharmacy are not quite of the quality. So now I'm seeing Hallmark coming back. Am I imagining this, or is that happening? The trend is that they're coming back.
No, it's happening, and we're thrilled to be part of it. As you mentioned, the cards, people can buy cards anywhere. They can buy it in CVS, they can buy it in grocery stores. But we've been fortunate. Our customers like the interaction with our associates, and they come to us. And the cards are a little bit different. You're right. I think it's elevated, and people want to come in and not just. Sometimes it's convenience. They do pick up a card in a supermarket, but the true card shopper and the gift shopper is coming into our stores
because they like the interaction, they like to engage with our customers, and they like the menu that we offer them on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and what I noticed was when the supermarkets and the drugstores started with their cards, they went after you guys big. They had big aisles full of cards. I'm noticing today they got a little tiny, tiny section of cards, and the cards are usually crappy, and the envelopes are usually bent and dirty. You go, I mean, right? You're laughing because it's true. I definitely, I'm a shopper, and you go into
Yeah.
a Hallmark store, and everything, the whole experience is just different. The scent is different. A lot of them have candles and the whole scent, the look, it's professional. If you want a nice gift and a nice card, you go to a Hallmark store. And so you guys have a new location. Talk about your new location in Woodbridge.
We do. It's in Woodbridge, New Jersey. We've had Woodbridge on our radar for a long time, and finally found the right center with the right anchor to really make it work for us. So we've been very pleased with the results so far. People are getting to know us. We have people coming in every day saying, "Wow, we're so happy you're here. We didn't know you were here," and it's an underserved area, underserved community by Hallmark. We do pretty significant studies with Hallmark, and we know where customers are shopping and where there's voids. And Woodbridge has been a void for many years, and we're happy to be there and happy to serve the community.
Yeah, and it's the Cloverleaf Shopping Center where you're going to be moving to. You have
That's
your
where
new
we are.
location.
Yes,
Not moving, I should
yes.
say. It's opening. You're opening a new
It's open.
location
Yes,
there.
it's open. Yep.
So that's going to be nice. When is that? Is it open yet, or when are you going to be opening?
Oh yeah, it's open. We've been open for many months now. Yes, it's open.
Great. And it's a
Yep.
full format store. So what is a full format Hallmark store versus, say, a standard store?
Well, there's certain different sizes of stores, and this particular store is almost 5,000 square feet, which enable us to put in a full line of merchandise that we were able to carry. So, if a store is 3,000 or 3,500 square feet, you have to abbreviate it down. This store is large enough that we can offer full departments of all of our key lines, whether it's Vera Bradley, all full Hallmark departments, both in cards and gifts, gift wrap, candy. All things that we carry, but we can expand it to a footage that the customer will come in and really be pleased with what we have to offer.
I love this. I just when we started going to the all-in-one stores, it took something away. It made things less personal. And the days of having the Hallmark store that you went to, that was always one of the stops when I was a kid with my mom. If there was something coming up on the weekend, you had to stop at the Hallmark store and you got something. And it just suggested that you cared about the person you were buying the gift for, or whatever. You had to get the special card. Did we see a generation when email started and texting started where they said, why send a card? Just send a text or an email. But I think now those same kids who are now grown said, that's very impersonal. A card shows you took the time. Am I wrong with that?
No, you're not. You're 100% right. The email cards, the text messages for a long time, they put a little dent into the traditional card sales. But there has certainly been a shift back to people coming in, like you said, Ken, just wanting to have a little personal touch, show that they took the time, and it means a little bit more, whether it's a birthday or a holiday, a celebration. And they come into our stores knowing that they can find a full range. Like you said, in a supermarket, they may not get that card. So they come into a Norman's Hallmark store, they'll have a full variety of cards to select, and associates that are pleased to help them find those cards as well.
I was always amazed when I was raised in New Rochelle, New York, and we had a Hallmark store there. And when I would walk in, I remember I would ask, I need to get a Father's Day card. I'm serious about the specificity. Father's Day card for a nephew. So in other words, it's not just not dad. It's and they would always say, "Oh, aisle 4 on the right to the back," and that just blew my mind. How you know that kind of specificity? But I guess that's your business, so it's just amazing.
That's right. That's our business. And, Hallmark does a good job of listening to their consumers as well. So if there's a particular title or caption that's not being made, they'll address it. And again, we're a card and gift shop. So unlike the supermarket, we better have it. They're coming into us for that particular title. We have to have it. So it's very important.
Heck yeah. And you guys, I mean, Norman's Hallmark specifically has been around for 85 years. So that's a lot. The company has seen a lot. So how do you balance the tradition with the changing consumer expectations and, so to say, coming into the year 2026? How do you balance that so you still maintain the tradition of the company?
Well, we've always had the ability to. You have to be able to change, Ken. Over the years, the products that we carry. I mean, there were times where you would never think we would carry shoes. For example, years ago we carried Crocs when Crocs were hot. We've been able to adjust and really give the customer what they're looking for at the right time at the right place. And that's, and that in addition to finding the areas where customers need to be serviced, that's how it works. And we grow logically. And this Woodbury location is our 26th store in New Jersey. We have 2 more coming in New Jersey. And we try to grow in like a 3-hour radius of our corporate office, which is in Newtown, Pennsylvania. So Woodbridge enabled us to continue that growth. We have stores in Clark and also in Fanwood, New Jersey. So we know the area. It's a great community, great shopping centers, and we're thrilled to be there. But that's how we do it. We have to be able to change and change with the times to give the consumer what they're looking for.
By the way, there is nothing better than walking into a Hallmark store at the holidays. You guys
Yep.
have the best ornaments. My director Pam said, the ornaments, the ornaments. I mean, it's always exciting. You go there, you get these beautiful displays of ornaments, no matter what your faith, you got it all there. And it's just special. You guys, it's like you just spend all your time making sure that the experience when people walk in is an in
Yep.
your face, wonderful. You're in a Hallmark store. And that's very, very cool. We appreciate that you do that. What's a website? Do you guys have a website? That's what,
We do. We have
normanshallmark.com, Brad?
NormansHallmark.com. Yes, we do. And we also partner with Hallmark. We have seamless retail through Hallmark. So if you went on to Hallmark.com and have selected some product to purchase, we most likely, depending on where you live, and if we're proximity to our stores, we could end up actually fulfilling that order and shipping it to you. And we also have buy online, pick up in store available as well. So we have 2 options for people to shop with us virtually, and both are very successful, and we're happy to do it.
I'm glad Hallmark did not go by way of Blockbuster Video. It's nice to see you making a full resurgence, and the whole
Yep.
Hallmark brand with Hallmark TV, the Hallmark channel. I mean, I know there's reinforcement there because it talks about the quality and the tradition behind the name Hallmark. The new location, once again, for Norman's Hallmark is Woodbridge. Vince Nowitzki, Vice President of Retail for Norman's Hallmark. Thank you for coming on this morning, and all the best with that new location.
Thanks, Ken. Thanks for having me. Take care.
You bet. You too.
Bye-bye.
All right. It is 52 degrees right now, 8:43. When we come back, our friends at AARP New Jersey will bring us a segment on how to navigate changes in the SNAP and Medicaid programs as we speak with the Commissioner of the New Jersey Department of Human Services, Dr. Stephen Cha. We're back in 2 minutes. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:45, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Sunshine today. Could be a few clouds, more than yesterday, but still not so bad. A lot. Highs in the upper 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta in with the full Garden State forecast. Mike, but you're right about this morning. You said earlier how we woke up to some chill. I had the it's one of those times where you need to have your
Both,
thermostat
yes.
set to heat or cool.
That's right.
Because and yes, everyone's saying mine doesn't do that. Yeah, they all do that. You gotta switch it. But I had it on air and I woke up and it was like 65 in my house. It was cold.
Yeah, there's a chill this morning, but it's the dry weather, Ken, that's also allowing for that chill to proliferate. The ground is pretty dry too. We're in a bit of a rainfall deficit, so low humidity, dry weather for the next several days. Even as we head into the next few weeks, the drought will likely continue and persist, where the severe drought south of 195 remains. Northern New Jersey remains moderately dry, but highs today managed to make it into the upper 70s. So we're approaching average with the little bit of rain that's forecast for later on this weekend. Again, could tap into a quick passing sprinkle at times later today, but it's the warm up ahead that takes us into the middle of June, above average temperatures expected. And we get a taste of that as soon as tomorrow. Highs back in the 80s, 90s by Friday into Saturday, and then Sunday climbs to a high of 82. Now, the weekend ends with some rain and a little bit of a cool down that brings us back into the 70s with clouds by Tuesday, but get a load of this lovely stretch of weather that's warm and sunny and dry until the humidity returns with those chance of storms later on this weekend, Ken.
All right, sir. Thank you very, very much. We appreciate you. And this is the end of your day. So, the end of your day on television. Now you just have to go help your wife raise 2 little babies and a dog.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll check back
Now
with
the
you.
fun begins, yeah.
Exactly. Hey, where's my breakfast? Thank you very much, Daddy Mike. We appreciate you as always, sir. 52 degrees, northern New Jersey. It is 55 in Trenton, and it is 51 degrees in Cape May, 54 degrees in Vineland right now. In terms of traffic, we have a down utility pole, Route 47, northbound south of Route 665, which is Cattell Road in Deptford. All lanes are open, but quite a bit slow. Let's go over to the Garden State, though. Which one did you have first, Pam? Is it the 137? Or I'm sorry, 132, or is it the Bergen Toll? All right, so this is 132. So on the Garden State Parkway, we have a crash southbound north of exit 132, Route 27 in Woodbridge. All lanes are open, but you can see it's actually doing better than it was. Yeah, it's doing better. They may have cleared it up. See the oncoming traffic on the left? That was a bit heavier half an hour ago. So it looks like that might be clearing up. So I'll let Pam get the Woodbridge shot if we can. Oh, no, the Saddlebrook shot, I should say. So we have a crash now in the Garden State Parkway northbound, north of the Bergen Toll Plaza in Saddlebrook. All lanes are open. And it's funny, as I'm saying that, that second accident is gone. So this is the Saddlebrook accident. This is a crash again, northbound, north of the Bergen Toll Plaza, Saddlebrook. All lanes open, but it's been heavy like this for about 45 minutes to an hour now. So you just gotta pack your patience as you go up there. 295, there's a crash southbound, exit 34, Route 70, Cherry Hill, right shoulder closed. Hudson River Crossing's not so bad. Right now, the Lincoln is only going to be about 30 minutes in. The Holland is now down to 30. You've got a little motion there at least. It was almost 40. And the GWB, upper and lower levels, upper on the right, lower on the left, is now 35 minutes in. Earlier it was up to 45. So that's a little improvement. Our time is 8:49. The following is brought to you by our friends at AARP New Jersey. Medicaid and SNAP benefits are critical resources for so many families across New Jersey. But with recent updates and changes, many residents may have questions about what these changes mean for them and what steps they need to take to maintain coverage and benefits. Dr. Stephen Cha is Commissioner of the New Jersey Department of Human Services. We say good morning to you, Dr. Cha.
Good morning. Great to be with you.
Nice to have you on, sir. And there are major changes happening now with Medicaid this year. So explain what those changes are, please.
Sure. So just backing up, about 1.85 million New Jersey residents are enrolled in NJ Family Care, which is our New Jersey version of Medicaid. Now, about 30% of those New Jersey residents, about 540,000, got coverage through the Affordable Care expansion, and that's exciting and fantastic. Those folks, however, will be subject to new eligibility requirements under what we call HR 1, the budget bill that was passed by Congress last year. So this budget bill creates new requirements for all those people, all those 540,000 people. We're worried, and some people have projected that we may lose as many as 330,000 New Jerseyans who could lose NJ Family Care due to these new federal burdens. And we're really concerned about that and trying to work with folks to make sure folks are tracking on that.
And for folks who may not understand what HR 1 was, under the Trump administration, there was some Medicaid fraud in pockets of the country. And unfortunately, because of a few people who were the bad guys, the good people who desperately need Medicaid now may slip through the cracks. And that's what stinks. These people desperately need Medicaid, and they may go to get health coverage in an emergency and find out, oh, you're no longer eligible. So what is it that every few months they have to kind of renew again and kind of reprove that they need to stay on Medicaid?
That's exactly right. And so just to be clear, a lot of these changes don't start for some time. So we have time. This isn't a tomorrow thing. Most of these changes start to take effect. Certain undocumented immigrant populations start to lose coverage in October of this year. The bigger changes start in January of next year. But we want to be sure that people are understanding what's happening and what we're doing now in partnership to be sure people can tackle some of these challenges. Just as you said, we're going to have more federal burdens. They're going to have to prove that they're working, what they call community engagement requirements. And it's going to happen every 6 months. Most people are used to doing this every year. For that 540,000 who got coverage through the Affordable Care Act, that 30%, you're going to have to do it every 6 months starting in January. So it's good to begin the conversation now about what that's going to mean.
So your team is active right now in helping residents navigate the updates and make sure that people don't accidentally lose coverage, because you don't want to be in a catastrophic accident, find out you're not covered.
That's exactly right. So the governor's budget, which is before the legislature now, invests in systems and partnerships to prevent these unnecessary coverage losses. And I should be clear that those folks who are going to lose coverage, that 330,000 New Jerseyans that I talked about, the vast majority of them are still eligible. They're still eligible for coverage. It's just that they're not going to get through all the paperwork hurdles and burdens that are now put upon them because of that HR 1 bill that was passed. So the governor's budget puts about $10 million more to strengthen the coordination amongst state agencies and counties. And counties are the front door for a lot of these benefits. To invest in some vendors to help us modernize our systems. And it also includes $71 million, because one of the other things the bill did was just remove money from the administrative cost for the SNAP, the nutrition benefits. So the governor's budget puts $71 million to support those county agencies, again, because they are our front door for both nutrition and health benefits to get people access. So we're just trying to focus for the rest of the year to make our systems work better, to take these investments in both county partnerships and our vendors and make this work better for people. We want all eligible residents to stay on the program as much as we can.
Sadly, so many people who are on Medicaid are the very people who are unable to get the mail, read the mail, figure out multiple pages of complex forms, fill them out, get it. Those are the people that need the help the most. And unfortunately, they're the ones we're obviously most concerned about. But what should people do if they get that renewal paperwork or notice in the mail? What's the first thing they need to do?
Yeah, so we're going to be reaching out to contact all of our beneficiaries by fall 2026 of this year with more information. And again, for 70% of our beneficiaries, don't need to do a thing. Don't worry, relax. For those people who got coverage through the ACA, there's a bunch of hoops and hurdles that you have to go through, and we'll be giving you more information if those changes apply to you. But yeah, I got to say, it is hard to track mail, and we understand that's challenging. We'll have customer service lines open. We're already talking to community partners and trying to think about how we can get those messages out, talking to our providers and hospitals. But watch for your letters, emails, text. Make sure your contact information is up to date, and be sure you open and respond to all that mail as soon as possible. We're starting to send some of those alerts out now just to get people prepared, but we do have some months before people really need to take action.
Yeah, for people who don't realize, Medicaid is almost half the budget. And not just this state, but most states around the country. Medicaid is huge because healthcare is so expensive. We kind of started to deal with it in the last couple of decades, and we kind of dropped the ball. And this is still a major problem. Doctor, if people have questions or need help with Medicaid or SNAP, where can they go? What website can they go to, or whom can they contact right now?
Absolutely. You can call the NJ Family Care customer service at 800-701-0710, or go to our website at dhs.nj.gov. So we're here to help support people. We want to make sure that your contact information is up to date, and make sure that both, and we didn't talk about the SNAP, but more than 800,000 New Jersey residents also rely on SNAP, and we're seeing projected benefits losses as well because of that budget bill. So it's both nutrition and the healthcare that we're really trying to figure out how we can move forward here.
Wow. Well, thankfully, you're on top of it and helping so many people out. Dr. Stephen Cha, Commissioner of the New Jersey Department of Human Services. Thank you for this very important information, and thanks for coming on this morning.
Appreciate you.
All right. It is now 8:56. We have a temperature 56 degrees northern New Jersey, 55 in Trenton, and it is 52 degrees in Cape May, 55 degrees also in Vineland. Meteorologist Mike Favetta once again says we'll have lots of sunshine today. Maybe some clouds in the afternoon, a little more clouds than we did yesterday. Have highs, though, in the upper 70s. And then tomorrow, it even gets warmer. Mostly sunny tomorrow, highs into the mid 80s. So as we climb through the week, as we go through, it gets warmer and warmer. And that is on New Jersey Mornings for your Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026. I'm Ken Rosato. Remember, you could stream us on ONNJ.com, ONLACA.com for the West Coast, ONFLA.com for Florida. We're on Roku, Fire TV, News on, Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X, and we stream live on Substack, Rumble, Twitch, and Local Now. And we will catch you again tomorrow morning starting at 7 a.m. Remember, 7 to 8 a.m., we are nationwide. 8 to 9 a.m., we focus on New Jersey. Tell all your friends about us. If you're a business, put us on in the business. And if you're watching us at home, you can carry us on your phone, take us in the car, and use us as a radio as you're making your way to work because of our traffic and weather. Till tomorrow, have a wonderful day. We'll see you again on New Jersey Mornings at 7 a.m.